I'm Christine Betz, FEI dressage trainer and rider, and also a Myler sponsored competitor. Today I'm going to introduce you to some of the Myler bits that are now USDF and some that are also FEI legal for use with your dressage horse, and how I incorporate them into my training. The first bit, which has been legal for about 20 years, is what Myler calls the comfort snaffle. This is listed as their O2 snaffle. And one of the unique features of Myler bits that's very consistent is this bushing here in the middle. So this bushing acts like a roller. The horse can move it around with its tongue, and that helps the horse to develop a more comfortable interaction with the bit. Additionally, the left and right sides of the bit move with independence. So if I'm using the left rein, it doesn't impact the contact on the right unless I do a correlating movement. So this is often really useful for educating horses on flexion and taking away some of the confusion that just a generalized contact across the mouth creates. The O2 snaffle, which is what this is, and also known as a comfort snaffle, is the Myler snaffle that works the most traditionally. So if you look here, you can see it collapses towards the tongue and towards the roof of the mouth, much as a traditional snaffle does, but it's limited. So it has a much smaller range of motion. The significance of this is that this limited range of motion protects the horse from having palate interference when you pull back on both reins, and also limits the restriction across the tongue. So even when both reins are engaged, the bit lies comfortably across the horse's tongue. There's an even tongue pressure, but there's not a pinching effect across the bars. In my training, I use this snaffle the least. It is a good snaffle to go to when a horse is coming into the barn, has been ridden in a traditional French link. So it's a nice transition into the Myler system. But most of the time I find that horses consistently want some degree of tongue relief. And for that, we go to the O4 snaffle. This is a sweet iron version of the O4 snaffle. It also is a little decorated because it's a Western snaffle for use in Western riding. But it's the mouthpiece here, which is known as the O4 mouthpiece. That is legal for lower level dressage, training through 4th level. In the form of a bradoon, it is also legal through the FEI levels in both USDF competition as well as international FEI competition. And what's really wonderful about this snaffle is you have the 30 degrees roughly of compression across the tongue and the bars of the mouth like you do with a traditional snaffle, but it is ported. So there is always a degree of tongue relief here. And the bushing, same as the other snaffles, has the independent left to right movement. This snaffle I find I use 60% of the time with the horses in my training practice. Almost all of them go better in it than they do in a traditional snaffle, and they respond very well to it. It's comfortable for them to carry. They work it well in the mouth, and it interacts well when you couple it with a double bridle using the Weymouth or the curb. So literally probably 60% of the horses that we currently have in the barn, and we have about 24 right now, are working in this, either in their double bridle or in a single in the snaffle. And it's when I break young horses, when I start them under saddle, this is the place that I go to. And so this is an excellent choice. If you're not sure where to start with Myler, starting with an O4 is a pretty good bet. You can get usually very nice results with it with your horse. In addition to the thinner millimeter here, which fits very well in some horses with a low palate, also helps you space the 2 bits in the double bridle very efficiently. They have a 14 millimeter version. So this is the O4 snaffle in a loose ring. And as you can see, the bars here are thicker. And this is a 14 millimeter mouthpiece. And this is excellent for your young horses that you need them to come to take a feel of the bit, to take a hold of it, and interact with it a little more in the contact, but you still want that tongue relief. You still want to be able to have the half halt across the mouth for when you're educating them. And if you find that your horse is the smaller diameter mouthpiece is too sharp for them, this is an excellent place to transition to. The third bit we're going to look at here in the collection is the 06 snaffle. This snaffle I have had a lot of success with. The other 40 to 50% of our horses here at the farm are going in an 06 snaffle. What is really unique about this is when you start to get away from the nutcracker effect or the collapsing effect of a traditional snaffle across the bars of a horse's mouth and across the tongue. So if you take a good look, the port here is wider. The roller and the bushing is wider. So it's offering a more pronounced clearance over and around the tongue. Additionally, there is no collapsing of it. So it holds its shape and holds its position inside the horse's mouth. There's the independent left to right movement in the mouth, so you always have that. But this is offering a significant level of tongue relief to the horse. The 06 snaffle is available in a traditional snaffle and in a Burdoon. It is also available in the 14 millimeter bars, so that if you have a young horse that goes well in this, but they're not wanting to take as much contact on the bars, they need a greater diameter for more comfort, that is available. I have found consistently that when you put a horse into a double bridle and it really is comfortable with curb pressure, it's really comfortable with the curb having contact and actually goes better with curb contact than with snaffle contact, these horses are often looking for tongue relief. And when you move them into an 06 and you start riding on that, you will find a greater acceptance of the snaffle contact, enabling you to load them into the bridle for collected work and get the flexion and the adjustability from them without the same kind of resistance. Dale Myler will tell you, bits don't train horses. But what we're striving for here is getting a fit in the bit, and the same way we go for saddle fit, that the horse is comfortable communicating with it. And when you get a horse more comfortable having that conversation in their mouth, it streamlines the training process. And that's what we found consistently with Myler bits.